Right, good afternoon, everybody, and or good morning, depending on what part of the world you're in. Good evening, if you're over in Europe. Um, my name is Frank Corkery from TL Technologies Canada. I'm a forensics examiner and a sales rep with TL, and I'd like to thank everybody for being present today to hear a presentation from MD5 on VFC, virtual forensics computing. It's a product that's been around for many years now. I used it early in my forensics career, and it has always been one of my go-to tools and has come in very handy when it comes time to present evidence in court. What I'd like to do right now is introduce you to Tom Cross from MD5. And VFC. He's the VFC guru over at MD5, and he's going to walk us through the product itself and give you some good insight on what it can do, what it can't do, and how it's going to help you. So over to you, Tom, if you're ready to start sharing.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. And before we do start, I just want to give a quick thanks as well to you guys just for allowing me to show what VFC is capable of as well. I'll just quickly share my screen. If you just bear with me 1 second, hopefully you can see that. I just got to turn my camera off as well, just in case, because you'll probably see me looking up, and it's probably not the best of angles, so I'll turn that off for you. As you can see, what the title is, you can see I'm going to discuss the getting the most out of VFC in terms of out of the most of an investigation in terms of the credibility and the quality. The crux of it is that VFC is just going to make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to the start of an investigation in the triage side of things, and also, like Frank said, when it comes to taking it to court and portraying the evidence in court as well, making it easy for everyone to understand. Over the last year or so, we've been working hard to try and make it a more comprehensive virtualization triage tool, as well as just making sure it's good in court. So I'm looking forward to showing you those features as well. But like I keep saying, and I keep touching on it as well, is that it's just going to make your life a whole lot easier in terms of understanding what you can see and how quick it is as well. So hopefully on the screen you can see there we've got the main user interface. So this is what you'll see as soon as you boot VFC up. How VFC works is that you will require a dongle, and something exciting that I'm going to be sharing with you as well, and you're the second bunch of people that I've talked to this about. We've also been working on a portable version of VFC as well, which is fully bootable just from a USB device, and which uses existing hardware on the site, accessing it through the BIOS, which is read-only, so no risk of writing to any internal drives in there, changing any information, which is exciting, and I'm more than happy to send some more information over that once we've got those details finalised too. What I'm going to do is click on this button here in the bottom left hand corner. This is our built-in mounting tool. This is VFC mount. I'll just drag that over there. There we go. You can use FTK or other mounting tools. There's a tool that Arsenal do as well. We always recommend just using VFC mount because it's designed to work with VFC, but if you do have a preference in using the other ones, there's no issues with that. There are scripts built in VFC in order for it to run smoothly with those as well. You can use VFC with a right-blocked hard drive. So not only with a forensic image, it works the exact same way. So if you do want to get into it sooner rather than later, and you've got permission to go straight away with the drive, if you right block that, point it towards VFC, select that drive, you can virtualize it, and it works the exact same way. You're going to get into that device within a matter of about 2.5 minutes from start to finish to plug in that drive into getting into that virtual machine. It takes around 2.5 minutes, obviously bypassing all the passwords on the way as well. You can see we've got an image mounted there already, nice and straightforward, Tom's official demo. And then what we want to do is we want to go up here to this lovely button, which will take us to the select physical and mounted disk section. If you were to right block that drive, this is where you'd go first, and then you'd select it from this list. If you've got things plugged into your machine, these will come up on your list as well. So you can see I've got a Kingston USB device there. And just for an FYI, if you do want to see what your own machine is, to see if it's picking that up as well, it does also pick that up if you click this tick box up here. Also, if you are wanting to boot up and connect to an existing virtual machine, images of non-bootable partitions, you select that box there, and that will show in that list as well, which will allow you then to connect it to a virtual machine. So I'm going to click on the the VFC mount virtual disk there, click OK, and then it's going to populate this box here. You will more than likely see a lot more partitions than this. We've kept it nice and simple for this demo, so there's only one there, but it is capable of detecting a lot more complex. I am working on some complex images at the moment. Well, more complex images, should I say. I've got a Windows image that's got a Linux built into it, and it identifies that there's a Linux partition on there as well. So it is capable of doing a little bit more complex work than what you can actually see here on the screen. I'm going to select that partition. If you do select the wrong partition, it won't break it. VFC will just simply tell you that there's no OS on there, you can't locate an OS, please select a different partition, and then it'll just take you back to that screen. As you can see now, the status bar in the bottom left hand corner is quickly moving across. This is where it's pulling all the information from the registry, finding out what sort of operating system it is for you, see if there's any passwords on there, if it's password protected, who the registered owner is. You can see within a matter of seconds we've got that information. And this is where we've really spent a lot of time looking at how you can use this for triage and how it's going to benefit you, not only with how quick it is, but how easy it is to read this information. For yourselves being investigators, or if you are not so tech savvy, like my name suggests I am, but this is my first job within the industry. So having everything in an easy format is so much better for people like me as well, in order to understand it. So anyone can come across and see that, okay, the last shutdown time was this, and the last use time was this, the registered owners there. We can all understand that. We all know what that is. You can use it as a prioritizing tool as well, not only to triage, but to prioritize as well. There's regular occurrence here at MD5 where we receive large quantities of exhibits in, computer exhibits in, and we're often given a time period to look from and do the investigation from as well. So let's say, for example, we received this as part of a 20 exhibits coming in, and we were told that we needed to look from 2022 onwards. You can see, again, it takes around 15 seconds to get to this point from start to finish if I wasn't talking. And you can see that the last use date there was 2021, so we wouldn't even need to look through this device. Of course, you would need to put in your notes where that information's come from, and why you're not going through that device. You can see there it's come from the registry timestamp. How do we actually know that? If we go into the VFC log here and we scroll down, I'll scroll down to the one that I've just created, you can see it's loading that information through from the registry there. And you can also see the actual time it's doing it at as well, down to the second. So you've got that safety net that VFC brings there for you as well, just in case you don't keep your own notes, which obviously you should be, but VFC is keeping those notes for you too, down to that second, so you can insert those easily into your notes should you not wish to keep them while using VFC. Very, very straightforward as well. Just to save those, you can either save a copy or copy that to your clipboard. Let's say, for example, that we do need to go through this device. In those 20 devices, we only need to look at 3. which obviously now you can start to imagine, okay, so we've still got the same amount of time frame that we need to get this back, but now we only need to look for 3 devices instead of 20 devices. You can start to see how that's going to save you a lot of time and ultimately money down the line as well, when it comes to the funding side of things too. So you've got the information there. We realize, okay, we need a little bit more information because I believe we do need to go through this. Let's go through into the VFC triage. Now this is a new function in VFC, which we've only introduced, I believe in December, if I remember correctly, which again, it gives you the information on the main screen there, but it also gives you a list of the users, recently accessed files on there, so you can see straight away, okay, you've got dodgy items to sell, you've got Hitman in there, you've got knives, guns, drugs. We really want to go through this, and again, we've got this information at our fingertips. Obviously, using other forensic software as well may take a lot longer than what VFCs give you this information. You've got recent files, recent applications, recent documents, recent URLs, installed applications, Windows history, Windows links, Chrome history on there, and it gives you those for all the users on there as well. Again, very straightforward. If you want to copy and paste, put that in a report, save as, or copy to clipboard so you can put it in your own format. So we've had a look at that and realised, yeah, we really do want to go into this into this device and have a look at it in its easiest format, straight into the machine, so we can start having a look in the files, start having a look in the settings, start having a look at how this person would have used this device originally. So I'm going to now click Make New Virtual Machine. I've already got one open up in the background, so I'll just create a quick test folder, and I'm just going to save this in there. And you can see there now on the left hand side again, this is where the virtual machine is being created. This should take no longer than around 30 seconds, hopefully a little bit less. And from start to finish to this point, it's going to take you about 2 minutes, even from looking at what you need to look at in terms of the information it's giving you. It's going to take around 2 minutes, so you can already see how much time it's saving you if you were to create virtual machines. And you can see now it's ready to launch. So in that time, VFC's cut out the human error aspect as well of creating virtual machines. Sometimes it can be a little bit complex, and as experienced as people can be, you've always got that human error creeping into it. VFC's got 15 years worth of experience in building these virtual machines. Once it's done it once, it's going to be able to do it over and over again exactly the same way, which is obviously fantastic. I'm going to click Launch Later. Like I say, I've got one open in the background already. And this is where I can start to show you some of the features, because it's all well and good that it creates a virtual machine. As quick as it is, these features are going to put VFC more in the forefront and hopefully make its case as to why it should be one of your most used tools in the forensic toolkit. So we've got this virtual machine already created, and this is where I'm going to talk about our password tools. So we've got 2 password tools built into VFC. We've got the generic password reset tool that you can see on the screen at the moment, and we've also got a password bypass tool as well. Both do as the name suggests, one resets, one bypasses. So the reset tool is just a command list there. You can see it in front of me. And this obviously resets a password, which gives you a password to type in. So the reason why we've still got this in here is if you want to go view saved passwords in the browser history, you have a password to then type in. If you didn't have a password to type in and there was originally a password needed to get into that user, you're not going to be able to view those passwords. But with the generic password reset tool, that is obviously going to allow you to do that. Now, hopefully you can imagine, if you have access to saved passwords, how many different ways that's going to improve the quality of your investigation, going from instances where you're trying to link this device to a specific person. Could you imagine going into the browser history and having a look at the passwords and seeing, okay, they've got their Facebook account, their banking details, because you obviously have autofill on banking now. All those social medias on there, all the other passwords on there. How easy is it going to be to say, okay, well, this device quite clearly is not only been used by that, but it's safe to say that this device is owned by that person. As well, if you've got access to those passwords, Facebook, emails, other social medias as well, all that banking information, that's going to open up a lot more avenues for you as well for the investigation too. So not only is it going to be able to link it to that person, but you're going to be able to start, okay, we can start looking at this, we can start seeing activity and stuff like that, obviously, if you have permission to do so. How the generic password reset tool works, very, very straightforward. It's just a list of commands. So I'm going to press 1 on there, which is list all local users. I'm going to scroll up because we want to go into the user account Tom, which is number 3 on there. Then I'm going to click 2 because I want to reset it. Scroll down a little bit. I'm going to type in Tom, hit enter on that, and I'm just going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, very, very straightforward. Hit enter, you can see that's successfully been changed. So that will now allow me into that user account using that password. Before I do that, you can see here as well that this password tool, as well as the other one, has capabilities of converting Windows Live accounts to local accounts. Naturally, we're not going to want access to the internet. You can see down here we don't have access to the internet, which is good, but that leaves an issue of, okay, what if it's an online account? There's no problems. VFC will localize that for you with the generic password reset tool, so you can then reset that password and go into it. We'll minimize that. I'll type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see if I've typed it in right. Hit enter, and we're straight into that desktop. I'm going to go through what you can do in a virtual machine after I've shown you some of the other ones. There's so many features and so long I can spend on them that there's not enough time probably in this webinar to do that. But if there is anything that you are interested in going through specifically, either get in touch with Angie or Frank. They can organise through them, then obviously come to me. We can set up a one-to-one and we can go through some of the features in depth. You can see straight away, before I go on to the other password tool, that uTorrent is the first thing that's opened up there. So that begs the question, is that designed to open up upon startup, or is that there as the device was shut down? You can see nothing else is opened up there. We've got Spotify, which has just finished updating just as this person shut this device down, but nothing else has opened up there. So we'd start questioning that. I'd take a screenshot straight away as soon as we're into it, just so you've got that for your report. I'm going to suspend that, and then I will go back into the VFC application to show you the second of our password tools, which is the password bypass tool. Now, this is my favorite one, just because of how quick and easy it is to use. I'm not saying the other one's difficult, but once I show you how quick and easy this one is, you'll probably use this one instead, unless you do want to see those safe passwords. So we're going to select that virtual machine. Let's go into that, which is the one I created. Open that up. It's going to populate these boxes. I'm going to click apply password bypass, and it's going to take about 2 to 3 seconds, and that is ready to launch. You can also see on there that it's capable of doing some Windows Server accounts as well, up to domain level, which is what I've been testing over the last few months. That is capable of doing some domain passwords as well, which is nice. So it's a more comprehensive password tool. It does bypass, it doesn't reset, but it does all the user accounts in one go. That gets you straight into them, no problem. So I'm just going to click resume now. And there we go, we're straight into it. I'll just minimize that. You can see first thing there you're probably noticing is the skull and crossbones, the Jolly Roger. And then when you look at it a bit further, you can see how all the icons and everything are set out as well. If you have a look on your right hand side, you'll see those are some hidden files. I don't believe there's any software out there that will tell you how these icons are set out. So why are the hidden files on the right hand side and everything else isn't? How easy is it to view this information? How easy is it to understand this information? No matter your experience in digital forensics in the field, you're going to want it in its easiest format anyway. I don't know why you wouldn't want to start doing the investigation work this way, just because of how easy it is to interpret it. The first question I was asked at MD5 was, what do you know what a jump list is? Like I say, this is my first job in the industry. So I've never done digital forensics before. They asked me what a jump list was, not a clue. But then they showed me what this was. And without anyone telling me, and you can probably see there, you can start to look at this now and start to think, okay, how do I start digesting this? Well, I can understand quite easily that the most frequently accessed file on there is secret invoices, then how to plan a perfect murder, then family holiday 2019, and dodgy items to sell. We all know what we're looking at here. If you're on a judge and jury, I'd be very surprised if you don't understand what a laptop desktop looks like. But if you're going through a report without this sort of information when it comes to court, or even understanding it yourself, and you have lots of technical words in there, which I don't like using, you'll probably find that when if you talk to me a bit more, I don't like using technical words because I don't see the point. When you can have information like this. And it goes for the same with absolutely everything else as well. Let's just go into the family holiday folder there. You can see how everything's laid out. I can see the first image in there is the £1,000 stake. I can see the picture there. I can right click. I can go into the properties. And this is what people don't understand when it comes to virtual machines. They think it's just there to have a quick look around and see, okay, just back up what I've already found using other forensic software. It can be used for so much more than that. It's a working computer at this stage, obviously in a forensically sound environment where none of the original data is being changed, but it is a working PC. So you can start using all the software on there. You can start going through the databases. You can start extracting documents. VMware has got a fantastic feature called VMware Tools. I don't know why it's not installed automatically when VMware's there. But what that will allow you to do is it'll allow you to copy and paste from the virtual machine onto the host machine. So let's say you wanted to go into Sage accounts, for example, and you wanted to run a database where it gave you a list of invoices and a list of names that coincide with them. You can run that. You can convert that to a CSV file, and you can then copy and paste that onto your host machine, put that into your report, embed it into your report, and then take that to court, take it to interview, take it to different departments for them to have a look at. If you are a third party that do work for, let's say, law enforcement as well, because that's what we do in the UK. We aid law enforcement agencies, and we use VFC every single time when it comes to computer investigation work. Why wouldn't you want to have a virtual machine alongside that to pass that back to them? Which leads me on to, and I'll come back to the virtual machine a little bit later, which leads me on to the standalone VM feature. Now, this has admittedly been in VFC for as long as I've been at MD5, but it's not something we've necessarily focused on when it comes to going out and giving our demonstration work, because to start off with, when I first started, we just wanted to tell as many people that VFC was here, this is what it can do, and this is how quick it creates your virtual machines, and focused then more on the virtual machine side. The standalone VM feature, what that allows you to do is, once you've created a virtual machine, it creates you a standalone copy of that virtual machine that you don't need VFC present in order for it to work. And then in turn, that means you don't need the original image and the original drive there in order for it to work. So going to court, for example, and it's just a number of different scenarios in which you can use a standalone feature. If you want to go to court and you want to start showing the judge and jury, okay, well, this is actually what happened, and this is the steps this person took in order to get to this position. You can do that with just a dongle and plugged into a laptop. And in this instance as well, with the standalone VM, it works with VirtualBox. And VFC itself needs VMware downloaded in order for it to work. But the standalone VM works with VirtualBox, which of course is an open source tool. It's a free tool to use. So there's no need for extra money there either. As well, let's take it to the complete opposite side of the timeline. Use it for in the triage and preservation of data stage. As soon as you receive that drive in, or if you do go on site, create a standalone copy straight away. That way you can start doing your investigation work the minute you receive the device, the drive, get a head start on it. There's no consequence to having a standalone virtual machine. Everything else is preserved, so then it can go off for imaging if it needs to. And this is the beauty of the VFC portable idea that we've come up with as well, is that you can plug the VFC portable drive into the existing hardware and create a virtual machine using the existing original hardware without any consequence. Could you imagine essentially using that PC, opening it up, turning it on, going into the BIOS, but then actually accessing everything they would have accessed even on the original hardware as well without any consequence? You can start using, let's say they use Photoshop on the original device and they've layered a lot of images up. You can then start in that virtual machine, start to deconstruct what they've done and put together a step-by-step process of, okay, this person quite clearly knows what they're doing. They've quite clearly gone out of the way to spend a lot of time to hide some evidence that they are trying to not get found. It's just, I could sit here for hours and hours about what you can do in a virtual machine. I just like to make people aware of, okay, let's just take a step back and think, what would I like to do in the original device? That's exactly what you can do in that virtual machine. We have got the modify hardware tab here. I'm just going to quickly show you what this can do and discuss what this can do. If you do want to go into more depth in this section, if you want to get in touch with Angie or Frank, we can organise a one-to-one if you'd like, so we can go into more depth and show you what it's actually capable of doing firsthand. Like I said, I could be here for hours if I had the time, if we all had the time. But there's just so much to get through. We'll skip over it, but I'll discuss it. So the main two sections here that I'd like to discuss is the memory section and the device count. So if you are wanting to start running the software in the virtual machine and start extracting data, etc., I'd always just recommend increasing the RAM on there. It is pretty straightforward. The RAM capacity is whatever your machine is at. So you can see I've got 16 gigabytes in my laptop there. I normally move it up to about 4 and then hit save, just so it gives it a little bit more oomph when it comes to running the software in there. The device count down here, it allows you to add external devices. So for example, if the exhibit comes with a USB device and you want to see what's on there, or if there's multiple drives with lots of files and data on there that you want to access like the original user would have done, you can just add it here. It's very, very straightforward. You can click hard disk, click next, use the physical and mounted disk section, and this is where it picks up all the devices connected to your machine. So obviously you'd right block the external device, select it on that list, give it a name, give it a location, click finish, and then you'll have access to that in that virtual machine. If you are doing that, like I say, just increase that RAM there. We have had instances and scenarios where people have used it to inject malware into the virtual machine just to see what it does. So even if you're not conducting an investigation, but you want to see how malware acts within a specific environment, by all means, use VFC to do that. It's a sandbox environment, it's safe, it's not going to harm your host machine, it's cut off from your machine. So there's no risk of anything happening to that. again, there's been scenarios here at MD5 as well where we've received exhibits in and external devices where the half of the software has been on the machine, half of the software has actually been on an external device. We're not talking just an activation key or anything like that. We're talking two complete separate softwares that we weren't able to pick up using any other forensic software out there, because obviously it's just going to give you list files. It's just going to show you what it is. Whereas VFC actually, okay, it's half software. We can't run it. It doesn't run. It doesn't work. It brings up a box when we try to run it saying, please connect to XYZ in order to function. So it's not just a tool where you can have a poke around at the end of the investigation. It's something that we would really, really recommend using as one of your main tools within an investigation, because you'll be surprised what you can actually find in a virtual machine. Again, patch and restore points, I'm going to just quickly discuss it, but if you do want to go into it further, just get in touch, and more than happy to get something like that sorted for you. It is a very niche feature in VFC, but it has come in handy before. And as far as I'm aware, most Windows laptops, Windows computers create restore points when you start resetting, etc. That's what I found anyway. Yeah, you may be able to correct me there, but that's what I found. What this allows you to do is it allows you to put the virtual machine back to its previous restore point. So if you go into it and it looks brand new and realize, okay, there's a restore point there, we'd quite like to see what it used to look like beforehand. No problem at all. Just select the virtual machine, patch it and launch it. It should take a matter of seconds. It should be in that to its previous state. We have done that a few times here at MD5 as well. One case springs to mind where it was a terrorism case. We got the laptop in, we booted it up into VFC, and it looked brand new. It looked like it just come off the shelf. We realised after a bit more investigation work, actually using VFC to go into the system files, and realised, okay, there's a restore point on there. We booted it back through VFC, patched it, got back into that virtual machine and found loads of applications and documents linking it to Al-Qaeda, which obviously put that case over the line, which wouldn't have happened without VFC present. Already talked about the password bypass, already talked about the standalone, and it's just a case of now just really going over what you can find in a virtual machine. So with uTorrent, when that first popped up, what we can do there is we can start having a look in the settings. We can start seeing, we can look to see if anything's mid-upload, mid-download, see what has been downloaded, see what has been uploaded. If the settings aren't default settings, we'll be able to work that out quite easily. Again, thinking outside the box, what we can do is we can go into the settings. Take a screenshot. You can do the screenshot in here. There's the snippet tools. I'm sure there's a snippet tool. I say that they're in a snippet tool, but you can screenshot. And if you really want a snippet tool, put your own USB device and add it in. This is the beauty of a virtual machine and the beauty of VFC. But we can take a screenshot of this and then revert it back to its previous settings, put them side by side and have a look at what the difference was. And then start to question, and then, sorry, not necessarily question, but then you can put that into your report and say, okay, this person changed the default settings, and then you can start asking why. That goes for all software on here as well. Not only that, you can see this is uTorrent 3.5.5. I'll be honest, I don't know how old that is. Never used uTorrent, which is probably a good thing. But this could be a massively outdated version of uTorrent that isn't accessible anymore, which isn't downloadable anymore. But you wanting to get grips of how to use it to put yourself in the original user's shoes, you don't need to go out of your way to find this sort of software. You've got it at your fingertips within the virtual machine. Again, same goes for CCleaner. or any other cleaning tool, you can see the installed version here is 5.75.8238. I don't know how old that is. It may be a version that isn't accessible anymore. And believe it or not, the amount of times I've visited police forces over here where, and one does spring to mind, I won't mention them, but one springs to mind where I turned up, started showing them what VFC was capable of doing, and then one of them even said to me, "Oh, I've just gone out of my way to download a free version of Photoshop, but not the same version of Photoshop, but I needed to understand how it works." And I'm like, "But you've got," they already had a VFC license. And I was just like, just boot it up into VFC and use their version. And at the same time, not only can you use their version, but you've got access to their images as well. So you can start deconstructing what they've created. And it is out of the box thinking. It's not something someone automatically thinks of, because obviously it's a tool that we're just starting to show everyone outside of the UK, even though it's been around for 15 years. We are starting to show people more abroad, because we are pretty much covered in the UK in terms of VFC. It's very difficult to sell more licenses when it's quite regularly used already. So it's my job to show you lovely lot what it's capable of doing, and I'm sure people are wanting to give it a go as well. We've got a Reflect customer database on there. I'd be very surprised if anyone's heard of the Reflect customer database. It's something that I spent a lot of time trying to find on the internet, because I know no one's going to know what it is, but with VFC you've got access to it. So you can start running that. And if I open this, you will see it's expired. The amount of times I've done this, it's like clockwork now. But you can see this is expired. Again, that is not going to be an issue. If I just suspend that, because what you can do in VFC is use it to put the time back. Excuse me. Just in this section here. So you've created that virtual machine. It will require you to make a new VM, but you've seen how quick it is. That's going to take you a matter of seconds, because you've already got the information booted up in there. So it's still all selected there. Unless you select this button here, it's going to get rid of it all. But you can actually put it back to any point in the past to make sure it works within those license periods. So if it is a licensed software on there as well, not a problem. Putting back to its previous time in the past, so it works within that license period. Of course, there's so much more I could go through. There's the obvious the obvious things you can look for on a machine, so like indecent images, for example, or things like that you'd automatically think of that in terms of what you can find. But I'm here today just to show you a little bit more of what you can do in that virtual machine. You've got your Google Chrome. You obviously got Microsoft Edge on there as well, you can see there. But we can go into the history. Like we already know, we haven't got access to the internet, there's no network. But you can see here we've got favorites on there. So you can have a look at those sort of things as well to start painting the picture. We're essentially making a jigsaw piece here, and VFC's finding all these jigsaw pieces for you. Top 8 concealment methods for fraudsters. I know that's what that is. You've got 10 ways HMRC, which is our version of the IRS. 10 ways HMRC can tell if you're a tax cheat, and how to fully delete internet history. Again, it's quite blatantly obvious that this person's trying to hide something. Believe it or not, if you haven't come across it already, people are like that, and are dumb enough to, well, they're dumb enough to do what they're doing anyway. They're dumb enough to put those there too. You can go into the history, have a look at the history. I quickly skim over this because you'll see all my spelling mistakes, which is quite embarrassing. We can go into the settings there. Like I said at the near the beginning, we've got the autofill passwords there. If there were any safe passwords, we'd just have to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in, and we'd be able to view those. That's pretty much it from me for this demonstration. If you do have any questions, if you want to let me know. If any questions do come to you afterwards, if you want to let me know, if you want to let Frank and Angie know, they'll get in touch with me. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And I'll pass it back over to Frank.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. We actually do have a few questions.
Perfect.
Excuse me. So I'll try to get these in a reasonable order. First of all, what types of say images or whatnot can you use to make a VM? You know, we know that you can load an EO1 to make an image, but what other types and what operating systems are covered by VFC?
No problem. So while you were just finishing that question off there, I've just put on the screen there what image types are supported in VFC. So you can see pretty much all the standard ones. I'd be very surprised if there's an image on there, image not on there that you do use. If there is one, if you want to let us know, and we can investigate why. But I'm pretty sure that covers everything there in terms of the images. So you've obviously got your EO1 files, you've got VMDK files, you've got yeah, I could just sit there and read the list for you, but you can see that list there. And if you want to take a screenshot as well, if anyone's interested there, not a problem. I'll leave that on for a second. And in terms of operating systems, it's capable of doing absolutely every single Windows operating system there is. When it comes to other operating systems, let me just show you. So, well, going back to the Windows really quickly, we have this auto analyze partitions function when it comes to Windows. So you don't need to select what operating system it is when you point in a Windows image towards it or a Windows drive towards it. VFC will automatically detect that for you, obviously streamlining it a lot for you. When it comes to Linux, you'll all know better than me that people can change a Linux operating system a lot more easily than what they can on Windows, and it's designed, I guess, to do that too. So depending on what the original user has done to their Linux operating system will depend on VFC's capability of virtualizing it. If it's just a bog standard Linux operating system like the one I'm working on at the minute, for demoing purposes, I'm just to let you know where I'm at in terms of my testing and development, is I'm putting together like a capture the flag type thing. And I'm working with a Linux Mint at the moment, which is just a bog standard Linux operating system. VFC has no issues with that whatsoever. If they've done a lot of changing on that, then naturally VFC is going to struggle because we need to put the patch in there for it. We have Sun Solaris on there too. Very rare to see one of those. I think I've seen one in the 3 years I've been here. And then when it comes to Mac as well, we have to be careful with Mac. It's all down to your discretion. It's got capabilities, but we can't tell you to do that because of Mac's licensing agreements. We know there's capabilities in VFC to do that, but it's completely up to you. Now, as far as I'm aware, it's only capable of doing right up to the T2 chip when that was introduced. If you want to know more information on that, if you want to let me know offline, we can discuss that offline, no problem. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, we have one more question about, let's say, computers that are in a large corporate organization. Are we able to bypass passwords for user accounts or machines that are set up for, and I'm not quite sure what the question is here, for AD use. So, you know, a large corporate organization has multiple machines. Are we able to bypass the login passwords?
There shouldn't be any issues with that. It will work the exact same way. It does do it up to administrative level. Do both password tools. With the generic password reset tool, which I can't go back to because we've gone into the user one, there is a way in which you bypass administrative passwords. When you go into the user account on the main machine, sometimes it might not let you in, but there's a way around it because you have to put the original domain in. It's very tricky, but yes, there shouldn't be a problem. If you wouldn't mind getting that person's details down, and maybe we can discuss that so I can show them what I mean, rather than me fumbling my words and making myself look a fool. But yes, it can do that.
All right, thank you. And finally, another interest, obviously, comes out of a webinar is are we going to be able to provide trial versions of the software for our attendees today?
Yes, it's something we can discuss. We're more than happy to offer trial licenses as well. We like to make sure that it's something that they are interested in. So we normally do treat it on a case-by-case basis, but I can't see that being an issue. If you just want to let me know who they are and who's interested in a trial license, just let me know and we'll get that sorted for you.
All right, perfect. So anybody that's interested in doing a trial, if you can just reach out to Teal and info@Teal, and we will get you connected with Tom and their team, and hopefully get you set up with a proper trial license. And that looks like all of the questions. Oh, we did have a question about mobile devices, which I'm pretty sure I know the answer to, but I'll let Tom answer that, whether or not we can virtualize mobile devices.
Unfortunately not. It would be amazing if we could. It's, believe it or not, you're not the first person to ask that question, and I very much doubt you'll be the last. There are ways in which you can use VFC with mobile devices. So let's say it comes as a bundle and there's a mobile device, let's say in the laptop bag. You want to access, say, iTunes or something like that, you can do that and connect it via a right blocking device and access it that way to view the files. But as of yet, there's no virtualization capabilities for the mobile phones.
All right, thank you, Tom. And I'm just going to double check. We've got a link if anybody wants to look in the Q&As. There's a link for any further inquiries. That'll come through TL Tech Canada, sales@tltechcanada.com. Those will get forwarded through our sales team and our marketing team so that we can get a response out to you. And on that note, I'd like to take the time to thank Tom for doing such a great overview of VFC. And I'm hoping that those of you who aren't using it will have the opportunity to use that in the near future. So on that note, thank you very much from TL Tech Canada and MD5.
No, thank you so much for your time, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.